Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We watched episode 11 of Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, now streaming on Netflix. This episode is titled Up Against a Wall. I don't know who's up against a wall. Who are they? What are they referencing? I'm not sure. Is it about the lawsuit? Is it about...
Well, nothing seems very serious yet, so I don't know. I don't know who's against the wall. Kimmie? I guess Kimmie's against the wall.
Wow.
Trying to find her sister.
The episode opens with Jules finding out that Kimmie killed his two bottom bitches and then proceeds to spend 60 seconds calling Kimmie a bitch.
Yes.
In every way he can think of, and then ends with, she a special bitch.
Well,
like, Tyler,
okay.
What is this writing?
Well.
And then, of course, tells his minions, one of whom's name is Traxon?
Yes, which we only learned because of the subtitles.
Right. He tells them to go find Kimmie. The other one being, I don't know what his name is, played by Brian Tanaka. Then we cut to Debbie Morgan at her house.
With Tony, another shirtless Tony.
Shirtless Tony.
Tony. Oh, what's his name just died, by the way.
I know. Rest in peace. We'll talk about it on the podcast. But so we learn, because I was confused, so we remember in part 1 of the series when Kimmie and Angel went to Rico's trap house to rob him, and then they're interrupted by some other people robbing him. Did you know this prior to Debbie Morgan saying it in this episode that she's responsible for that?
No.
Okay, so then we learn in this episode that Debbie Morgan had her boy toy Tony, shirtless Tony, arrange this robbery that was supposed to end in a murder. But of course, we know that Rico got the upper hand and blasted those fools.
But this makes no sense in comparison to shirtless Tony and how we met him in the sex scene earlier with Debbie Morgan when he was hinting at finding somebody to kill Horace. And remember, she berated him about, you don't even know what the stipulations are in the will.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's why I'm so confused. Yes, because the first time we meet shirtless Tony, she's talking to him like, what's that movie with Nicole Kidman where she gets Joaquin to kill her man?
To Die For.
Debbie Morgan is playing it like To Die For.
Pamela Smart.
So you're right. If we find out now that he is actually the one responsible for that, why was she talking to him like, oh, could you help me do something?
That made no sense. And poor shirtless Tony, that reminds me of, what's that? The movie Field of Dreams is based on a book called Shoeless Joe, I believe. Anyway, poor Tony. He's pretty, but this man can't act.
And then Debbie Morgan says, well, you failed, so you know what that means. And he's like, no, please, no. And
you got to get in the bag.
With his horrible acting. And then she starts screaming at him, get in the effing bag. Get in the effing bag. And then all of a sudden, two men come out of the shadows with a big old like garment bag. It looks like a garment bag.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be a body bag. Tony gets in it. And they shoot and kill him. And he got in the back so it wouldn't make a mess.
That was so stupid.
Here's my question. If Debbie Morgan can snap her fingers and two men come out of the shadows to kill someone for her, why did they need Tony's black ass to kill Horace?
Exactly.
What is happening?
Exactly. Where were those people when Rico needed to be killed? And then how they kill Tony is so...
Why would I order Postmates when you'll make me food? I just don't understand. Like,
that sounds very much like why buy the cow when you get the milk for free. Anyway, Tony is standing up, and that man, one of those her minions, reaches up over the top of it to shoot down.
Well, I'm assuming because he didn't want to put a bullet through the bag. I don't know. But I also noticed, like, what sense does this
That
make?
doesn't make any sense. That bullet could have gone through him and into her floor. And the setting of her house looks like something out of what, like Pier 1 or something.
That was ridiculous. Okay, so Varney, Terrell Carter's character, he is at Rico's office in his home,
Uh-huh.
going over the will
Again.
for who knows how many times.
This family hasn't memorized that will.
They've been under the restrictions of this will that has been mentioned so many times for decades. And now Varney is explaining it to him again per his instruction.
And what he's explaining isn't something like out of the fine print.
And Rico goes, I know that. Okay. So Rico's saying, well, how can I get someone out of the will? Like, how can we get them to lose their shares? Well, there's a stipulation that if someone has a Class B felony, that they would forfeit their shares.
When was this written? Because Beauty in Black seems like a company that was around the time of Madam C.J. Walker. Like, what?
Then Rico goes, oh, so like if someone were, let's say, running a criminal organization through a business, would that be a felony? Yes.
Hint, hint, no, Norman.
Yeah, if I'm not being too subtle. And Varney says, well, can you sort of illuminate me? No. If I wanted to tell you more, I would. Get out of here. The way these people talk.
Varney says
to each other.
Your father, this is a quote, your father was brilliant in writing this will. And I feel like Tyler wishes somebody would say that one day about something he wrote, and no one ever will.
Then immediately Rico calls Jules and asks about Angel. And Jules freaks out because, of course, Angel is part of this racketeering, money laundering, strip club shit. So Jules is like, wait, why do you want this Angel kid? And Rico's like, don't worry about that, but just bring him to me.
He stole my watch, he said.
Well, then he says he stole my watch. Okay. Then the cops, the two who are helping Jules, show up at the hospital where Rain is supposed to be, because Jules is saying, well, if you can't find Kimmy, go find Rain. She'll know where Kimmy is.
You mean the hospital that...
This underground hospital, the hospital Neil Patrick Harris was in It's a Sin.
Oh.
Or what were you going to say? Doogie Howser, MD. But anyway, this nurse at the nurse's station says, oh, Rain's not here. Well, where is she? I don't know.
She left no forwarding address.
And they're like, how the hell do you not know? Well, it was all very private.
It was a private road.
What?
It was a private road transaction. You know what that means.
So, of course, the cops are like, okay, this is ridiculous, and walk away. And then the nurse hits on Traxon.
Well, no, she says, like, am I going to see you later? Like, they have an established relationship already.
I thought that was her way of flirting with him.
But we had to pause it, because every now and then we have to pause this. Like, is this, am I understanding what is being said? Because
we pause every episode a few times because I have to process what I just watched.
Because not only do the sequences make sense, but literal passages of dialogue
are unbelievable.
They don't make sense. Like,
right.
But we paused it, and Traxon is holding this phone up to his ear, and that man has monster hands.
Well, it's probably, the cinematography is terrible. And then the phone he's holding looks like razor thin. So like, is it a prop phone?
But then, so after the hospital where they learn Rain is not there, Jules calls Traxon again and says, go find Angel. And then Traxon turns to Brian Tanaka. He's like, what's the update on Kimmie? Fool, you were all there. What if he had the update, he would have told you.
Literally, we have been together. Anything I know, you would have heard.
Where would he have gotten the update?
The way these interactions are written, it's like watching like Sims in a like a video game, and how they kind of, what are those characters called who are like background in a video game? There's a name for that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Hold on. It's like non-something characters, non-important characters.
You mean what the cops call prostitutes?
Oh my God.
Or wait, Charlton Heston in Soylent Green, he calls hookers furniture.
Wow.
Anyway.
There's a name for them. Oh, NPCs, non-player characters.
Oh, okay.
The way Tyler Perry writes all of his characters are like NPCs, where it's just like they're just looking around and bouncing into each other, but they don't realize it.
Oh, and then here's another line from Jules to Traxon, looking in RE finding Angel. You put every license plate reader in the city on it. What?
I hate
License plate reader?
like the parking meter,
What?
like the meter maids who. Well, they do have that. You know how like in WeHo, those cars with all the cameras, the parking enforcement drives by and reads, so they can like give you a ticket without having to get out.
Well, we see Angel bopping around, and this car pulls him over, and tracks him.
The technology exists, but the point is that it's like the things that Tyler Perry chooses to accentuate. Like we didn't need to know how they found him this way. Like it's clear that Jules has the police department on lock and has
How?
all of their resources. Yes, exactly. Instead of telling us about the license plate readers, why don't you explain to us how Jules has everyone on lock? That's what we need to know.
How can Jules control the license? How can Traxon put in a request to control the license plate readers to do
What's
this?
the movie with Kevin Dillon and Alicia Silverstone?
Oh, it was released as True Crime. It's also known as Dangerous Kiss.
Well, Kevin Dillon was a rookie cop and he had access to all that shit. So I don't know.
Nah.
Okay. So then Attorney Varney, which is what Mallory keeps calling him. Who speaks that way? Attorney Varney?
Mallory. She also gets a call from Lena, the lawyer, who's...
Oh, no, we need to get back to that.
Okay, all right.
But Varney, Attorney Varney, then makes a pit stop at Charles' house, the gay brother who he's in love with.
His lover, yes.
Child, he goes over there to warn Charles about the will, saying, your dad's been looking into the will and he's trying to get you out of it. Well, he can't do that. Yes, he can. The stipulation, the felonies. Well, what does that mean by me? I keep my nose clean. No, you don't, fool. What happens if you go to buy cocaine and it's a sting? Well, that's not going to happen. The guy I've been buying from knows me. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I was so disgusted with the way Charles was behaving. And again, I don't understand how Varney is into this man.
He just dismisses him. It's like, this man told you he loved you.
And he's trying to save you from being disinherited.
Yesterday? Yes.
And you're also the one character who doesn't work. At least your dumbass brother is the CEO. Charles has no job title. If you lose this, if you lose these shares, you're going to have to hop on OnlyFans. I don't know how he's going to make money. Like... I can't stand Charles.
It's a saturated market now. I don't know.
Oh my God. Then Jules calls Richard trying to talk to him about Rico. So he calls him and says, girl, your brother is asking about one of the strippers, this Dominican at the strip club. And Richard goes, oh, my brother loves Dominican women. And Jules goes, no, it's a guy. And then Richard's confused. Mm-hmm. And Jules says, well, this guy stole his watch. Oh, my God. One thing you got to know about my brother is, because he goes, I feel sorry for that guy. Why? Because my brother treats his watches like I treat my wife.
Okay.
And so Jules is trying to explain to Richard, like, you need to figure out what your brother knows. But Richard is so annoying because how many times did he say in this episode that my wife is dead? I don't care about anything else.
Nothing really matters.
Nothing really matters.
Cue that Madonna song.
So he's like, where's Debo? Where is Debo? And Jules says, you need to stop focusing on Debo right now. I have him taken care of. He's somewhere right now. You need to figure out what your brother knows. And Richard just blows up. I don't care about any of that. My wife is dead. I want Debo. And that's when Jules stupidly goes, well, you can't because he's dead. And then Richard starts screaming, well, isn't that convenient? Isn't that convenient?
And he slams his phone down. It's like, sir, that's not how we hang up phones anymore. And there's spittle flying out of Richard Lawson's mouth. And also, every time I hear Debo, I think of Tommy Lister.
Yeah, Friday. Okay. There was a little pleasant surprise in this episode because guess who's back? Jillian.
Oh, I forgot about this dummy. Oh my God.
And her annoying ass voice. But Jillian's back and she's just standing next to Mallory in Mallory's glass conference room. And her, you know what she reminds? You know who she'd make a good, since we're going to see Snow White next week, she'd make like a good evil queen.
Jillian?
Mallory.
Oh, Mallory. Okay. I think that this hasn't registered with me because maybe I live in LA and see a lot of faces that don't move, but she has no other, she has one facial expression. Mm-hmm. One. I have it, even when she smiles, I don't think we've seen Mallory Bellarie laugh, but
No, she's full of injectables.
All
It is
she can
what
do
it
is
is.
roll her eyes. But I'm not even talking about
Luckily, the character she's playing, her look suits it.
but not even her. She's in one note, and it's not just her face not moving. Like there's no
there are no levels to
dimensions to this character.
Yeah, but so we're in the conference room. Mallory's working on these random papers she shuffles around all the time.
No laptops in the workspace ever. I don't understand.
And Julian's dumbass is just standing there while Mallory's phone's ringing. And then Mallory's like, pick up my damn phone. So Julian picks up the phone like, hello, this is Bellari's phone. And then, oh, you want to speak to her? Oh, who's calling? And then Julian says it's Lena Watson Creek or whatever. From Lena Dawson's Creek.
From Indian Cove and Cove.
Yeah, from Indian Cove and Cove. So Julian says the name, Lena Dawson's Creek, and then hands the phone to Mallory. And what's the first thing out of Mallory's dumb mouth? And to whom do I owe the pleasure? To the bitch whose name I just said.
Exactly.
Right in front of you. And the lady heard me say her name to you. The way... Well, I can't keep complaining about the same thing, but the way these characters speak is as if there were no other interactions. They're just in a bubble, like individually.
Well, yes, because there's no volleying in the dialogue. Lena and Mallory, there's specifically in this conversation, Lena says something and Mallory responds in a way that's like, that doesn't make any sense. She says something like, we'll do it, or we'll do, like, what?
The way the narrative, like the story within each episode is broken up. It's like they literally take like 90-second slices. It's so disjointed and chaotic.
Well, especially because timing seems like Jillian suddenly reappearing seems jarring because it's like, oh yeah, because she tried to sleep with Roy because Calvin was messing around with Mallory, and it's like, but wait, when did that happen? How much time has passed?
I think it's days. It feels like an eternity, but I think in this universe, days have passed.
Yeah.
I can go longer without washing my hair than the time that has passed. Okay, so of course the cops catch Angel, and that's like a 30-second scene, and then we move on. Okay, this poor Judge Harold shows up at Richard's place. This man is supposed to be a judge, like a powerful judge who helped like Richard's character evade criminal charges, help him set up. I don't know how a judge would help someone set up a money laundering and racketeering scheme, but
I don't like. I thought it was alluded to that he was giving these victims of circumstance
harsher sentences,
yes,
or something
like that would force them into
sex trafficking.
Yeah,
that, yes, you're right, but it, like the way that they're talking is the way the judge explained it was like did you set up the accounts? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, that judge, the way he's acting, you know who he reminded me of? Like he'd be working. Not
Clarence Thomas.
I said like he'd be working in Wanda Sykes' body shop in the Upshaws.
Yeah.
Like that one character who's like really muscly.
That works for Mike, yeah.
Yes, but then he's kind of nervous and scared.
Yes.
This can't be a judge.
I wrote down he's giving more longshoreman or boxer.
Not a longshoreman.
I would agree that this person had those previous occupations, but not a judge.
Not a judge.
No.
Not a judge.
Especially after that scene with the explosives.
I mean, I don't even believe he could be the judge who excuses parking violations. Like, I mean, he just there's just no way. Although there's that one judge who got fired for doing porn, but anyway.
But that also displays some sense of agency.
And also that man sounds smart and he's very confident, clearly. Anyway, this judge is sitting there and Richard's about to go off on his ass because Richard knows that judge probably told Rico about the
what's up.
Yeah, what's up. And so it's the same scene that the judge had with Rico with the dynamite in the cigar box, except with Richard, it's what's that brown liquor he poured him? Some bourbon.
How dare you talk that way about bourbon? It's a Joan Blondell reference.
He pours him some bourbon and the judge is scared to drink. And they have this poor actor trembling. He is shaking
He's
so hard.
What's funny is they don't call that out. Whereas Tony, when Debbie Morgan's about to put him in the bag, she screams at him to stop trembling, and Tony is not trembling. Okay.
Speaking of trembling, we've had this happen. I think at least this is the third time in this series where it looks like the camera person
Got
like
excited.
fumbled.
Yes.
Like I don't think it's meant. It's not a style choice. It's like, oh, the cameraman tripped, and Tyler said, "We don't do second takes around here."
I think Tyler. I don't know. I bet Tyler told the cinematographer, like, we have to look like this is an anxious moment. So
you think it's deliberate? I don't.
I don't think you can tell with Tyler because
I don't think it's deliberate. I think that Tyler shoots this shit like one take. We're gonna shoot all of this today.
Yes.
And then the editor has to figure it out. And then the editor was like, well, y'all didn't give me any B-roll. There was only one camera running. Like
I do believe he does that, but I can also I could envision Tyler Perry saying like, yeah, that's the way to give this a shot of flavor or flair.
I'm surprised you're giving him that much credit.
Well, he thinks he's doing something. Okay. That we have to remember that Mr. Tyler Perry thinks that he's doing something.
Then we get and then we cut to a 45-second moment where Roy, who we thought from the last episode was on his way to go see Kimmie at noon, and she better be ass up naked in the hotel room waiting for him. He stops to go accuse Calvin in the last episode of effing his wife. Mm-hmm. And then in this episode, it's like, okay, so he still hasn't left. So he walks by Mallory in her glass conference room, and she jumps up and says, come in here.
Where you're going, Roy?
Where are you going? You're going to go see that Lena, the attorney? Don't do that. If you go, I'm going to tell your dad. And
Roy's like, I'm going to lunch. Where do you think he goes? Where would Roy go to lunch?
To go get cocaine, which is what he did. But we find out that his interaction with the protesters from like episode 3,
forgot all about that.
It, has gone viral.
Mm-hmm. But that happened. It went viral right after it happened. But
right, we already knew that.
Again, it seems like a long time ago.
Then we had Lena, the attorney, had called Mallory in this episode to tell her, like, you might want to settle because my commercials on TV have netted 64 more complaints.
Mm-hmm. That Beauty in Black has given people mesothelioma.
So why don't you go on ahead and settle? And Mallory's like, you need to talk to my attorney. And then she's like, oh, do you hear the sirens? What? You don't hear that? You damn ambulance chaser. And then she hangs up her phone like Richard did.
Yes.
Like slams it up.
We do not break your phones, people, because you're making a gesture. Okay.
Then we get another 90-second scene where Jillian is pleading with Calvin.
Still. We've seen this before. I'm going to tell.
And he's like, bitch, get out of my face. I hate you.
Do you hate me this much?
And then
it's very Glenn Close in Deliverance. Then do it, bitch.
And then she's groveling, and then she goes,
don't push me.
And then starts whimpering.
Yes.
She's like, She went from like happy, sad, angry, groveling, like in like 40 seconds.
The women that Tyler Perry writes, because Jillian's a lot like Kimmie, they're cut from the same cloth, is just eternally passive, and then will lash out with these bits of violence,
and then immediately back down.
Yeah, or they're like Mallory, who's like, she might as well be a demon.
A demon. The demon low.
The demon Bellarie.
So the cops take Angel to this like discreet location in like a warehouse somewhere, and then leave him. And then out of the shadows comes Rico and his cane doing a pimp walk, seeming real confident. Although he has like blood, what is he, a blood cancer? What the?
I don't remember.
Isn't this man supposed to be dying?
He did throw up blood on Angel's naked body at one point, but he came out like, oh, that's my cue to get on stage. Like, what were you doing? How did you?
He came out like Ron Isley in those R. Kelly videos. But anyway, he approaches Angel, and then we realize that Traxon and Brian Tanaka are waiting in the wings, and they have surveillance, like they're trying to listen. And then Rico's dumbass starts talking to Angel, and Angel starts saying like, oh, daddy, please, like basically saying like, I can make you feel good and I can be your boy. And Rico said, you had your chance. You're so stupid. That house that you guys tried to rob me, and I was going to give that house to you and Kimmie.
How awkward would that be? So he would come there to hit Angel and Kimmie would just be like, "Hey,"
and he tells
scrambled
him,
eggs.
Rico tells Angel so that the cops can hear, sneakily, that all you would have had to do is take care of me.
Uh-huh.
So I'm assuming that because from the previous episode, Rico had some shit on Richard's character, right? Because he knows about the racketeering and the money laundering. But now I bet those cops are going to tell Richard that Rico's gay.
But now Rico wants to, or Horace, this character, wants to know Kimmie's story. And then we do they do this Tyler Perry classic of saying the same thing 5 times in a row.
And then being contradictory because
Yes.
Rico tells Angel, I don't trust you. And then immediately asks, is Kimmie trustworthy? What?
Wait, if you don't trust him, why would you trust his
opinion of her being trustworthy? What?
And then he's like, yeah, she is. He's like, for a whore. Wait, so you already have a predisposed notion that a sex worker is not trustworthy, sir.
Then we cut to Varney going to see Mallory, Bellarie, and telling her, well, first he tells her that he spoke to Lena. But what's she say? Well, that there are more plaintiffs. Okay, what do you think we should do? And he says, you need to hire a better lawyer.
Well, somebody that will frighten them.
And so he recommends this firm, and she goes, I know who they are. They're very expensive. Well, I think that's what we need. Well, give me the figures, and I'll present it to the board.
Go get an estimate for me.
Yeah, get an estimate. Like it's a dent on the front passenger side of her Suburban. But Varney says, well, I need to talk to you about something else. Rico's been out, your father-in-law's been, you need to talk to him about the will. Well, why? Just trust me. Don't tell him I told you this, but you need to go talk to him about the will. So she's like, okay, well, thank you for telling me. I'll do that. So she gets up to let him out of her office, and she sees the driver. What's his name? Calvin. And so for some reason, Mallory wants to make Calvin jealous.
We forgot to mention the interaction with Calvin this episode, because when Roy finally does, when we believe that Roy has left the building for lunch, she tells Calvin to go follow him, and he's like, but we're in communication with the driver via Jules, and she's like, she doesn't want that. She wants Calvin to follow him. He doesn't want to leave her side, and then he hands her a pair of her panties that he has in his pocket.
Her dirty panties.
She's like, she's trying to act like she's disgusted, but you can't tell by looking at her face. And
she gets up, sees Calvin peering through the glass walls of her office. And so I guess to make him jealous, she starts hugging Varney. Okay, this lady makes no sense.
No.
She keeps yelling at her husband that he is going to ruin them. But it's like, why are you playing these games? That you need to be worried about this lawsuit.
What's that Jules song? Foolish Games.
You need to be worrying about this lawsuit, and you need to be worrying about the fact that you ran over a woman who ended up dying from her injuries
and has caused all this big mess.
And you're trying to make your driver jealous. Like, what the hell are you doing?
I don't know. But then Roy swoops in there,
and he's like, because we have to remember from the previous episode that Calvin was smart enough to pretend to be gay. So Roy is off his scent. So then when Roy sees Varney hugging his wife, he goes, it's you who's effing her. And then
do you get Tyler Perry's irony there? He's accusing the gay one.
You know why? Because Tyler Perry thinks we can't see him, but we see right through him.
What is Goldie Hawn or Meryl Streep in Death Becomes Her? I see right through you.
So Barney's like, no, like nothing's going on.
He's like, you're fired.
And Varney looks stuck. And then he's explaining, like, I'm going to tell my dad, and when my dad finds out, he's going to fire you. Wait, so are you firing me, or is your daddy firing
me? And we already know that Rico Horace told Varney that he wishes he could have been his son.
Right. Like, so why is Varney tripping?
Exactly.
Varney knows that Mallory likes him.
Roy ain't shit.
That the dad thinks that he'd make a better son than raggedy-ass Roy. Mm-hmm. But the way Varney's standing there is like, this characterization makes no sense.
Exactly.
And then he's like, oh. Like that meme of that white creature with his hands up, like, what? That's how Varney's looking. Yeah. Like, oh. And then, so Roy leaves the room mad. And
Mallory
Mallory
says, I'll
says,
take care of it.
I'll take care of it. It's fine. Just proceed business as usual.
I'll go right.
What?
I'll
business
go,
as usual?
I'll go right in a binder on my desk and it'll be fine.
This family is so effed up. And she's like, business as usual.
But before she believes Roy had went to lunch, there was another choice bit of dialogue where he says something about the man she's committing infidelity with, and she's like, "Oh, you mean all the men I'm doing that with?"
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then he says something about them, and these men, and she goes, "They're smart and they know how to run a company." Who?
What company? Your company? What are you talking about?
The man that we do see you having a dalliance with is your driver, and I don't know what
your entry level subordinate.
I don't know what he has proved to you that makes you think that he can run the company.
What are you actually talking about, ma'am? It doesn't make any sense what she said.
No.
I'm baffled every 3 minutes during this series. Like, wait, what did they say? Am I having a mini stroke and I just read the subtitles wrong? What's happening? Okay.
I don't know. It's just like we're being poisoned with stupidity.
Oh, I have to correct what I said. I think in the episode 9 recap, because you had commented how Rain sits in her hospital bed, and then I commented that it was either episode 9 or 10, and I said, oh, she's sitting there like she has hemorrhoids. And I feel so stupid because I totally forgot that the reason Rain is sitting in the hospital bed the way she is because she got those ass shots from T.S. Madison.
Yeah, I remembered that.
Mm-hmm. So, and when we saw it, it looked like her entire backside was gangrenous. So yes, of course it makes sense she's sitting like that.
But I just think it's funny because her hair is all done and she's lying on her stomach and saying all these repetitive things to Kimmie. And every time we see Rain, it's like, Kimmie, I've been calling you.
Oh, all Rain says to Kimmie is, I've been trying to call you.
Don't do that, girl. Where are you?
And then she says, I don't think you should do that. Don't do that.
Don't go to his place or his place.
Don't do that. So, of course, we get a scene where Rain's telling Kimmie, I don't think you should do that, meaning don't meet up with Roy.
And Kimmie's also stupid. It's like, one, you're late to the noon o'clock appointment where you were supposed to be naked.
You're supposed to be ass up, ready to go.
So you're taking phone calls from a bitch you are ignoring actively, that the script is telling us. Before you walk in there, why?
Why did you even take the call?
Kimmie, she's like a chaos goblin. Like, why
she is. And Rain keeps saying, promise me, if you don't come back here within the hour, I'm going to get out of this hospital bed and go to the hotel.
And I'm on painkillers. Okay.
So it'll be fine. But of course, Kimmie's crazy ass. Well, before we even get there, earlier in the episode, Rain was no longer where she was, right? Right. She's been moved. Where is she?
She's in some luxury hospital.
Where is Rain? It's like she's not where she's supposed to be. And then we see her again. She's just chilling. She doesn't even mention to Kimmie that she's been moved.
Mm-mm.
Wouldn't it? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, well, I don't.
Okay. So then the final scene is Kimmie's ass does go into that hotel room with Roy. Roy opens the door and is immediately like, bitch, what you got on, bitch, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, you call this lady. And keeping in mind that Roy has no idea that Kimmie knows anything about him. Roy thinks this is just a prostitute who's going to have sex with him. Why? Well, then we realize that he thinks he's like the dominant one.
Roy is not alpha because the first thing that if he was that he should have said to her is like, why weren't you naked in the bed?
Ugh, it's so annoying.
That was your instruction for her.
But Kimmie's energy, of course, is very different than the last time we saw her in his hotel room. And she keeps talking about my sister. And Roy's like, bitch, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know about your sister. Like, why do you keep asking me about that?
Also, please remember that Kimmie has not slept.
No.
And those eyelashes are still on.
And Kimmie goes, I know who you are, Roy. And Roy freaks out. How do you know me? She's like, I know you. I know your wife's Mallory. I know your dad is Rico. I know you run Beauty in Black. And he is flabbergasted.
Yeah.
You are the CEO of a major beauty brand who is currently involved in a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. There are protesters. You're
in a viral event in the city.
You're in a viral video.
Mm-hmm.
And you're surprised that this young woman would recognize you? Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That's crazy. So anyway, they start arguing. And Roy gets up like he's going to do something. He basically tells her, like, you're not being very sub right now. And I was...
I saw that bottle and I'm like, oh, she's going to use the bottle.
And the camera keeps pointing to the champagne bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, Kimmie grabs that champagne bottle and busts Roy upside the head.
Do you know what sounds awful? We see him like do 5-6 lines of cocaine, and then they want champagne at noon. Ugh.
And that doesn't take him down, so he starts fighting Kimmie.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's able to get him down again with hitting him in the head with a glass. And then I don't know what floor of this hotel they're on, but it looks like they're like on the 20th floor.
They're higher up, yes.
And Kimmie knocks Roy out that damn window.
She hits him with such velocity that she's able to break him through this plate glass window, but yet stop herself. No.
I mean, no, it doesn't make sense.
No.
But we see him fall out the window. Now, knowing Tyler Perry,
he's alive.
Roy's not dead. Because it looks like he's on the 20th floor, but watch it be like the first floor.
But we don't see the bottom.
We don't see the bottom, so we really don't know.
But a nice hotel like that, probably
there's no way she
hotel,
would have been able to bust the window.
The window, no.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Well, my only prediction is that Richard's going to find out that Rico is gay, or at least likes to have sex with men, based on the surveillance. And so he's going to, I feel like it's going to be Godzilla versus King Kong.
Well, there's nothing in the will about being gay because Charles would be screwed. So I don't know how that would affect.
Well, I think he's going to expose him. Like he's going to threaten to expose him.
Okay.
These two are going to play games, I'm assuming.
I don't know what that would matter.
Although, Kimmie has so far killed, so we think, Body, Delinder,
and Roy.
So I wonder if these final episodes are just like every episode she's gonna kill someone. And oh my God, what if Tyler Perry is playing this like a video game where she's killing all the little every level you kill a boss until you get to the big boss?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, what if she Okay, that's my prediction. Kimmie's gonna kill
many more, and it's gonna end.
It's gonna be like Debbie Morgan next.
The only semi-sympathetic people are like Varney and Horace. So I bet they'll live.
She might kill Charles. I think she'll get Mallory last, probably before she gets to like Richard and Horace.
I was this Lady Macbeth out damn spot.
I think that it's because they mentioned
epiphany.
No, I have an epiphany because. You because you mentioned in the last Epiphany Mattel, a drag queen. You mentioned in the last episode that Varney tells Rico that one way he can get out, of getting more, somehow leaving his shares to someone else, is if he gets married.
And gay marriage is legal.
Well, no,
still.
Well, yes, but what I'm thinking is, I bet you, this is my prediction, everyone.
That he's going to marry Kimmie?
Note the time. I'm predicting this on, the series has already been fully streamed, so it's not like I'm...
Yes, no.
It's just that I don't know. But I'm predicting that Rico Ross's character is going to end up marrying Kimmie, and she's going to take control of Beauty in Black. That's my prediction.
Would be terrible. Kimmie can't do that.
And she's going to make Rain the CEO. So Kimmie's going to have majority share of Beauty in Black. Yeah, that's my prediction. She's going to marry Horace.
And Angel will be the driver. It'll be happily ever after. However this does end, I know it's going to be silly. So I'm open to letting all of it happen, and then I can forget about it.
Okay, let's end this. Bye-bye.